Hi, this is Pat Moorhead, and we are here for another 6-5 on the road. We are in the Austin area at Dell Technologies headquarters, and we are talking services. I am super excited. But before we jump into the content, I want to introduce my co-host, Daniel Newman. Daniel, how are you doing?
Pat, it's great to be here, close to home. We're on the road, but we're actually literally on the road. We drove here,
I
which is
know.
which is different for us.
Exactly.
Usually it's planes, trains, and sometimes automobiles. But of course, with all the chaos going
Yeah.
on right now with travel, it's kind of nice to be close to home.
No, it is great. And by the way, I've missed you. It's been 48 hours since we saw each other in another city. Imagine that. But no, it's great to end this 3-month travel extravaganza here in Austin. But no, let's jump into the content. So we are talking about services today, and unless you've been living under a rock, you know that services are the tip of the spear, quite frankly. It's where the industry is going. It's driven by customer demand. It's what everybody is retooling for. And I'm not just talking about SaaS companies, but I'm also talking about hardcore infrastructure companies that are changing their models. And with that, I have here today Doug Schmitt, president of Dell Technologies Services, to discuss some awesome topics. Doug, how are you?
Well, very good, Pat. Thanks for having me. Daniel, good to see you again.
Yeah, it's so great to be in person here. And, I think I've spent, I don't know, hours on video with you and your team. But I have to tell you, I look back to the first time we met, and it was at one of the last in-person industry analyst councils. And I remember us talking, and I'm like, Doug, we've never met before, but let me just tell you, you are going to be the tip of the spear of this company in a certain amount of years. And I think from there we developed a good relationship, and it's so awesome to see you.
Yes, and again, you and Daniel joining us at DTW or Dell Technology World. It was great to see you then, and finally good to be back in person, as you said, not just in the Zoom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how long we're going to keep saying that, but it's very clear that all of us missed it a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you and I have probably, I don't know, I think I did like 16 events in May and June. I mean, it was
Right.
and at every one we heard that sort of same thing, but we forget that not everyone travels like us, the
Exactly.
traveling circus of industry analysts that we are. But I still miss it, and I still get energy every time that we get into the room together. And Doug, I have seen you and been on your briefings and calls, and I agree with Pat's sentiment. Technology and then services, they are the tip of the spear. And for Dell Technologies, the spear,
Yeah.
it is such an important thing. And you're seeing a lot of trend lines that say this company is going to continue to evolve in this direction, and this is the part of the business you're leading. So for everyone out there, why don't you give us just that kind of quick overview of Dell Technology Services and the business that you lead?
Well, yeah, the team and I get the privilege to lead Dell Technology Services. And look, that's 65,000 people globally in 170 countries. We service our customers in over 50 languages. And really, it's about providing all the services from the edge to the core to the data center. And inside of that, what we're really doing is we have a tremendous number of solutions and services that we provide, everything from consulting to deploying, standing up and installing, support. This would be your traditional support most people think of services as, all the way through managed and our residency services, security, all the way then to sustainability and our asset recovery. So it's really end to end and helping deliver great technology and solutions to our customer base, and becoming their trusted advisor is what it's about.
Yeah, it's every time you roll off the scale and breadth and depth of your business, I'm impressed. And I think there's a lot of learnings that you capture from servicing so many customers over such a long period of time. And Doug, I know you spent a lot of time talking to your customers, and quite frankly, in the last 3 years, I mean, almost everything has changed. I mean, whether it's pandemic, whether it's global challenges and inflation, things like that. What are top of mind of your customers and their challenges?
Yeah, that's a good question, Pat. And I know you and I and Daniel have had this discussion because, look, there is a lot of change out there. Now, in the technology business, I know you and I go back, and Daniel in the technology business, everybody says that, but it is a huge amount of change going on right now. And look, that started with the pandemic. You think about everybody literally what we're hearing is they had to make a transformation, whether you were a school board, whether you were government, or in private industry. All of a sudden, overnight, you had to change the way, not only that you did business, but that the way technology worked. And we all learned very, very quickly. What's really amazing, we'll look back on that, is how fast globally that occurred. I always heard cultures weren't going to do this or that in different places, but it changed instantly. We had to help our customers get all of their, obviously their client, but also a lot of the data center improvements. So a lot of change going on, helping our customers through that. Then second, very quickly right behind that is resiliency and continuity. That becomes even more important. Now, it's always been important, but when everything's running remotely and it depends on the data center and your client device, it's hugely important. And then, really the third one, again, that you and I have talked about is outcome-based services.
Right.
And this one is exciting, but there's a lot of work to be done on it. Our customers aren't just saying, hey, provide the end-to-end service for us. You now have insights into our company and what we're doing. We need you to help us run the business more. A great example of this is a large retailer that we help run their entire retail chain for their stores as well. They came to us and said, hey, look, it's great that you're helping us keep the stores up and running, but now you have data of when the cash registers are actually being used. Actually come back and tell us when the cash registers need to be staffed. So this outcome based of helping them run their business. So look, lots of change helping our customers through that, the resiliency and continuity, and a lot around this outcome based services now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We keep hearing this sort of how quick every industry accelerated because of the pandemic. Digital transformation, this whole concept, it's not really new, but the world became exposed to it. The world, everything from the shortages that we're facing right now, just how much demand there is for compute and for things that run on semiconductors, all the way to, like you said, just companies realizing that there was so much untapped data that would enable them. And by the way, when customers couldn't come in anymore, they had to figure out how to get to those customers.
That's exactly right.
Which completely shifted the dynamics of businesses and their entire models of going to market. So you sit in this interesting role, Doug, because you're not selling the hardware per se, but the entire industry, and Pat and I experience this, all talking about moving to services, whether it's services, consumption, subscription, ARR. And by the way, the most popular thing on Wall Street is, what's your subscription number? What's your service revenue? Everyone wants to know that sticky number. So what are you seeing in terms of the shifting needs that came out of all that, pull forward of digital and investment in technology?
Well, and that story I think is still being written, obviously. One thing about that, Daniel, it's interesting. I always tell, when our team talks about the pandemic and the shift of the way we do work now, I actually think that was going to occur anyway. But whether it was 5 or 10 years, it sped everything up. It's like somebody just flipped the light switch, but we were headed that way probably anyway. That being said, to your point, it's a lot of change. The first thing our customers are asking us and really, want us to play the role of is trusted advisor. There's a lot going on. They want to lean on someone that can help them with their product, their software, their services, the overall solution. And again, all the way from the edge all the way up to the hybrid cloud. And so they're asking us to play a role inside of their that we play. The second one is, and you hit on this, is this flex consumption. No longer just the capital model, the CapEx model, which we're used to. But it's not just flex, it's flex the way the customer wants it. Is it based on a quarterly, a monthly billing? And for example, the largest retailer, I should say, Woolworths in Australia and New Zealand, has us doing hybrid cloud, helping them with all of that, and it's on a consumption basis. And so it's about providing the customer choice of how they want to consume our products, our services, and our solutions. The third one is really around lifecycle management. Customers aren't just coming in anymore and asking us to do pieces of services. It used to be, and Pat, you know this, they'd come in and buy a deployment, they come in and buy a manage, they come in and buy a support. They're saying, hey, look, help us run this thing so we can go build IP for our, and develop differentiation for our customers, right? So help us run this lifecycle services through our environment. Security, look, we could do a whole episode on security.
Let's. Not right now, though.
Exactly. No, I mean, and so we've been very busy building offers like managed detection response. You were at DTW, heard about our Apex cyber recovery offers. I could go on through that. Last but not least, sustainability. We see this in over 95% of the RFPs that we see coming in, requests for proposals for us to do, has sustainability in it, which is great. We, as well as Dell, believe in that. We have our 2030 moonshot goals, which are very, very lofty, which is that for every system we ship out, we get one back, and we recycle those, as much of that material as we can and put it into new systems. That 2030 goal is very ambitious, but we're up for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of those examples you used of kind of how they articulate that align with our conversations with CEOs. And one of the overriding goals here is, hey, I know how to do this, but it's not core to my business. And I really want another company to come in there, help us out with this. And by the way, maybe I'm a Gen Xer, I'm a millennial or something like that, and I grew up with, hey, I only want to pay what I'm using at that moment. You cross those two streams, and pretty awesome stuff happen. Now, at some point though, you have to productize things, and I'm curious, based on what they've expressed that they want to do, how are you packaging up these services? How should we look at your offering?
Yeah, well, look, we're constantly evolving that based on the customer needs and what we're being told. So if you were to break that down, you'd look at our core services, Pat, and you know these well, and Daniel does. You look at those, it's about modernizing those offers and making sure that we continue to make them proactive and predictive. That's something else our customers continuously tell us. And then delivering that with the AI, BI capabilities that we know. So we're constantly adding additional ability to help our customers through that. And then I'm happy to say that we are just launched, like example, I think the first in the industry, it is first in the industry, our Pro Support Plus is going to be subscription.
Right.
So we're packaging that, taking that, launching that as a subscription. So it's about continuing to do that, right? Modernizing and making that. Our second is in the professional service and managed service space. And these are important because this is what helps us deliver that outcome to the service,
right,
to our customers, that service of what they're looking for. This is everything around continuing to make sure that we're very focused on the consulting work we do, where we go in and help our customers design, build, and the solution and the architecture they're looking for. We're building out the managed services. We have a cloud console that's tied in with Jeff Bordeaux's Apex console, completely overhauling how we do managed services and leveraging technology and differentiation. So, but I think you and I have talked about that. That is something you get up every morning and drive.
It is, and the irony is, in a way, when you're doing managed services, you're actually using your own console. So in a way, you're going to learn it because you're managing somebody else's IT, and that product is going to get better because you're using it and it's a Dell console. So it seems like the whole company would get a benefit from this, whether they're buying this as an on-prem solution or as a managed service.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly right. Take the feedback in the SRE. When you combine that not only with the console itself, but the data and the information coming back, plus the SRE on the usage, and you combine those, it's a very powerful improvement cycle that will continually get better.
Yeah, and sorry for boomeranging here, but I'm stuck on this ability, what you're building here and the scale that you're doing it at. Over time, you're going to learn so much over so many different customers. Now, obviously the data isn't configurating or being blended, but you're going to get better. The more customers you have that you're doing this for, you're just going to get better at it.
Well,
is that the right way to look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have to be. That is going to be key for what we do. Is that in this industry, you just
particularly
have to.
with the data.
Well,
right?
let me give you an example of that. Let's just play off that a little bit. This just happened recently, and it has me something, and for the entire team, where we're going to have to learn a different way to approach services just for how we're talking to our customers. So we install and we have a HR system in, and that we're managing, a managed service for a company. And the CIO comes to us because we're also getting the help desk. So we're getting the calls in from the use of this. And we go to them and we say, hey, here's why you're getting all the calls. We've run AI and BI on this, AI and BI, and it's really some of the HR processes that are driving these calls back in. He's like, great. I need you and the services people to go with me to talk to the HR lead. Well, there's a bit of me feeling like, okay, we're being
Wait,
set
is this
up.
part of the contract?
Yeah, we're going and explaining to HR why the AI and the BI is showing that they have some HR improvement process, that outcome based. That is what you're talking about happening thousands, hundreds of thousands of time, where we're actually adding the value back into the business beyond just the IT layer.
That's the last time you're going to tell them anything, right? I mean, more work for Doug.
I don't know. Maybe that would be part of the
but
contract. This is what it takes to go talk to HR.
Well,
So.
That's right.
It's really interesting though, because as I'm just kind of listening to what you're saying, and it sort of brings two challenges into focus that I want to have you talk about, Doug. And the first is, we talked about how fast everything happened. So you've had to innovate at breakneck pace. So you've pulled a lot of what, you say the CEO's problem with digital transformation is that timeline to the next disruption kept getting shorter, meaning you need a new idea to happen faster. And the second thing that you mentioned, like when you talked about going in and talking about analytics and BI, the thought is, well, Dell Technologies, I thought that would be the analytics software, or that might be the ERP system, or that might be coming from the CRM part or the HCM. And you're getting pulled into these things. And what's happening is the industry is kind of becoming this amalgamation where hardware, where software, where services, you're all coming together and all having to be accountable to each other. So it's kind of two things at once. I'll let you address each of them. But A, how do you kind of keep the partners and the ecosystem in tune? And then B, how do you deal with this faster pace of innovation in order to keep giving customers what they want in the future?
Yeah, well, look,
Huge question.
I'm glad you asked.
Huge question, by the way. That was
Like a three-parter.
That was like 8.
Yeah,
I'm known for that, by the way.
Well, look, again, you're hitting the things that that are the challenge that make this job and for the team fun. Well, first of all, I think this is the power of Dell Technologies. We come from being a part of a great product, great software, services team, all combined, so we're able to work as one unit to deliver the solution to the customer. And by the way, that helps, having all of that together, right? The second, though, is, I joined in 1997, and I learned very quickly that the power of the model here at Dell Technologies is that we're talking directly to the customers. I mean, literally, it's not like I'm not hearing it from a third party. It is directly. That is myself, my team, all of us. In fact, we do over 1 million interactions a day, either through web, chat, social media, phone calls, you name it, email. And Michael likes to say, and I agree, this is a great line, we have big ears. We listen to our customers. So the first thing is listening to them, and then taking that information of what they're looking for and looking for ways then to deliver that outcome they want. And you want to build a model that's constantly working and learning to help the customer deliver that better product that they're looking for in service.
So listening to the customers and having the biggest ears is super important, particularly when you're taking a market, right? When you're serving a market with known and known needs.
Right.
And what you and I have had some really good conversations about is, hey, what about the market taking aspect of this? And listen, Dell has transformed many businesses over its history, and I'm curious, what are some market making opportunities that you might be thinking about? Again, not asking you for futures here, but what are you thinking about in terms of making markets?
I like that name, by the way.
No, I know.
Well,
That's the name of his show.
There you go.
You're not supposed to do this on these videos. Come on.
We have
So-
fun here.
Okay.
That is it. Look, I think the first one is we're not an island as a service organization. It is part of Dell Technologies, and And because we all are listening to the customers, we're able to build those solutions that they're looking for. You know, I know you talked to Jeff Pedro, you talked to Sam Bird. This is a team sport. And so we come together as a group and a team, and then we're laying out that strategy to deliver that. But let's go down further into services now, of when we're tied out on the larger delivery of solutions like Apex or, you know, PC as a service. Beyond that, what we're looking at is the CX. This really is about that customer experience side of delivering what they need. And what you find if you're delivering that very well, and we are, we want to continue to be, is you find the nuggets of where you're going to go expand those things. And you know that. It comes with each and every customer interaction of where you're looking for those. But pulling out the things that customers don't want with that CX and making sure that you're continuing to add as you're getting that feedback from them. But the second one around that, you talked about this, is this happy path. We're measuring that stuff real time. So that, and it's going to be interesting where and how this gets managed over time. And by the way, I worry about it culturally, because you're going to get instant feedback, we already are in our teams, of when something doesn't go right for the customer. And it's not coming from the manager, it's coming back down directly to the front line. And then looking for those opportunities where we differentiate and we leverage, like you're talking about, the Apex Cloud Console. These things are differentiators that we're building to make sure we deliver it in a better way and delivering those outcomes that the customers are looking for.
No, it's exciting stuff. And just to be brutally honest, I mean, you're one of the first services organization that's thinking about a market taking approach, as opposed to getting, you know, as opposed to receiving things and fixing things that break, getting ahead of it. And in the end, I think you have your intent on this idea of understanding what customers are going to want even before they need them, and proactively get ahead of it. I mean, you were the first with proactive support, using agents on a PC to basically, I remember the story of, you know, shipping storage out to the customer before it broke, because you knew it was going to break, based on all of the data that you had coming in. And now taking that across, you know, this notion of an autonomous data center, or an area inside of an organization where you have so much data, and comparing it across different areas, that you are going to find patterns in that. I just find that incredibly exciting.
Well, this has been the demarcation between those that will win and those that will lose. We've been hearing this for so much time about proactive to reactive.
Right.
And there's a lot of great, you know, staged demonstrations of proactive, but until you put some of these technologies in the real world, and Doug, that's really what you're doing, is you're putting them out in the real world and getting those millions and millions of pieces of data and feedback. And it's the learning, it's the training, it's the, you know, it is those technologies that we use so, you know, casually. Oh, it's AI. Well, it's analytics, it's machine learning, it's a lot of intelligence and smart leadership and great partnerships. And all those things kind of have to come together to really deliver on what's next. And I think that's where I'd like to end this conversation, Doug. And thank you again for your generosity and spending time with us here today. But what is the future? I mean, because I'll say everything you said today is pretty on par with things we talk about in our research. But we love when we talk to the experts that know more than us. Is that possible? That's possible.
You know what? Our egos allow that, of course.
When we do is kind of, what are we not seeing? What do you see that maybe the markets aren't seeing? What's going to happen next? Like we just talked about one thing a lot of companies are competing on. What are you seeing that are going to be the things Dell will compete on in the future that's going to help you stay?
Well, I'll tell you what won't change is our focus, like I said, on listening to our customers and a genuine, natural curiosity on what we can do to help them with all of this information and data, and finding a better way to use it for them. So that's what's not going to change. But look, we talked about this core support is definitely going to get much more in front with the customers, much more automated, helping them, delivering it the way they want to, leveraging this proactive and predictive. I see that continuing as we modernize it, and as we just talked about, Pro Support Plus in the U.S. having subscription. So you're going to see more of this the way they want it, the way they want to consume it, the customers. We'll continue to build these professional services out, and that's going to lead to this outcome-based services. You and I have talked about this a lot, I'm in agreement. That's where this is headed. It's going to be doing more for the customer, not less, with the information and the capabilities we have. But I'm also very excited. I really am about like metaverse
Yeah.
and Web 3.0. And, I think, we have our teams experimenting with that. I think, there's a lot of people using that in ways that we can get in and deliver customer experience on that as well. And then AR, VR.
Right.
Out in the field, there's a whole nother subject, you guys. I mean, I know
Yes.
you know, but that's a whole just in and of itself episode. That offers us a great deal of opportunity to provide a better experience for our customers. So lots going on out there, but it's all going to be at the end of the day about delivering what the customer wants.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There are actually very applicable use cases for what you talked about that aren't just science projects. So, for instance, VR as it relates to education,
Yes.
AR as it relates to fixing things, and then digital twin, right? If you're managing factor of the future, their IT for somebody, a digital twin is going to be very, very important, and that, quite frankly, is AR. And those are the two or three use cases that I don't think anybody is arguing about whether it's going to be part of the future. The only question is when.
But are they the metaverse? Are those things all converged? I don't know. Web3, metaverse, AR, VR. I guess it just depends on your definition.
I don't know. That's going to give us a lot to talk about.
We're going to have them back
in the future.
We should bring them back to do a metaverse services
I'd
episode.
love to, and security. No, we'd love to.
And security.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Oh, so listen, Doug, I really appreciate your time here on the 6.5. I can't tell you how excited I am, quite frankly, about. Listen, my first 10 years were in infrastructure. Okay, starting in 1990, and services, quite frankly, was at the end of the rope. It was when things just broke, and barely thinking about that, and where we've come now as an industry and the set of expectations driven by, whether it's generational, I want it now, I want it my way, and I only want to pay for it when I'm using it, right? That might have seemed impossible back in the early 90s is now the reality that you're in. And in a way, you are riding on the train and building the railroad tracks, and new railroad tracks you're laying at the same time. So it's very exciting. You're in a pivotal role here at Dell Technologies. And quite frankly, based on the time that I've spent with you and your team, listen, I'm not going to Babe Ruth things, but I'm very comfortable with the progress you make, how you look at these challenges when I map that to the future of what people want. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, I appreciate being here and having me on, and look forward to future discussions as we'll always have. We always do have.
Absolutely. So this is Pat Moorhead and Daniel Newman with the 6.5 on the road at Dell Technologies headquarters here in the Austin area. We hope you like that. Hope you tune in again. Have a great day.